did. She had been part of the household, coming in each day to light fires, to clean and cook. Yet there was more to Carrie than met the eye. "How's Auntie? I came as soon as I got your letter," Rhian said, and Carrie's face fell into lines of sadness. "There's a terrible change in Agnes," Carrie said softly. "She won't eat anything, gone as thin as a bird, and her face pointed, the bones standing out sharp. But her eyes are seeing everything as usual, mind." As she left the bustle of the station at Carrie's side, Rhian became aware of the silence that hung over the town. There were no bakers' vans or horse-drawn milk carts creaking along the roads. She stared round in amazement and paused as she saw a bill posted in one of the shop windows. "We are at war. Great Britain's fateful step. Fight for national honour and safety." Beneath the banner headlines was a printed story of a German cruiser being sunk, and the Kaiser's troops had been repulsed by the Belgians. Rhian turned away, her heart beating swiftly in fear. The poster crystallised the fact of war, which, engrossed in her own problems, she had almost dismissed as being scaremongering. "It's terrible, isn't it?" Carrie caught her glance. "The damned war has changed everything. Factories shut down, copperwork silent, and even the docks are at a standstill. Like a dead town, Sweyn's eye is, and all because of them foreigners." As Rhian walked towards her home along achingly familiar streets, she saw men standing on corners talking in hushed tones, eyes lowered and faces solemn. There was no flashing of sparks from the copperworks, no glare as the blast furnaces were tapped. It was as Carrie had said, a dead town. "Even the pawn shops are closed," Carrie said with a trace of humour. "Comes to something when you can't hock your best pair of boots. They're soft men are, wanting to fight each other." Rhian's throat constricted, her eyes clouding with tears as she drew nearer to the neat row of cottages. She saw them as if through a haze, and painful memories pressed on the edges of her mind. Sharp images of a man with ugly tufts of hair and ugly hands. Gerwyn Price had torn and plundered, violating her soul as well as her body. She pushed the agonizing thoughts away, but she was trembling. "Come on, Mechi. No good standing out by you. Let's go in and have a nice cup of tea, shall we? I've made some nice Tyson lap for you." As Rhian followed Carrie indoors, the aroma of the cake, rich with fruit and baked flat on a plate, filled the house. "I'll just run up to see Auntie, and then I'd love that cup of tea," Rhian said cheerfully. It was just as well that Carrie had warned her of the change in Aunt Agnes, for she was nothing but a pale shadow of the strong woman she had once been. She lay huddled in her bed, as thin as a child beneath the sheets, and only her eyes held anything of her former spirit. "Auntie, it's good it is to see you." Rhian kissed the parchment-thin cheek, half afraid to touch lest she damaged the frail bones. "She's been talking to you, hasn't she?" Aunt Agnes stabbed a thin finger towards Carrie. "Told you I'm losing my brains, I'll warrant, just because I want to die out of it all." She lifted her head, and for a moment she was the old Aunt Agnes. "And die I will, so don't try your wiles and weepings on me, my girl." Rhian sat carefully on the edge of the bed. "Now, Auntie, why talk like that? There's plenty of spirit in you, anyone can see that. And what would I do without you? If only you'd eat sensibly, you'd be back to your old self in no time." Aunt Agnes sighed. "You'll do very well without me. You've proved that. Anyway, you don't get my meaning, do you, girl? I want to go. I've had enough of life. And don't